So when I was growing up, you went to your birthday parties, you had it at Farrell's. Anyone know Farrell's? Yeah, right? And so you remember that they would have this huge thing for your birthday and they would bang, but why do I bring up Farrell's? Exactly, because of Pat's hat. Exactly, thank you. I'm not crazy alone. That all of the servers would wear the very kind of Americana hats. So no, don't take it off. It's perfect. It makes me a little hungry, and so it's perfect. So, over the course of the summer, that we're so pleased to have voices from the congregation to be our darshan. That Ben spoke a couple of weeks ago. Jen Hirsch spoke as well, and others will be coming up today. Rabbi Winters is going to share some reflections with us. So excited for him, a regular Torah reader, bar mitzvah tutor, and a mensch of a person as well. So, Rabbi Winter.
Yeshut Rabbanim, thank you so much for this special opportunity on this Yom Tov, which we all celebrate. And I will share with you that almost 45 years ago, my wife Enya and I joined a large number of people from all over the world in a room of a federal courthouse in White Plains, New York, to pledge allegiance to the United States of America and receive our certificate of naturalization. By then, I had already spent here in the United States 4 years as a rabbinical student at the Jewish Theological Seminary and another 8 years as a pulpit rabbi. So one might assume that this would have been just another ordinary moment in my life experience. Nothing could have been farther from reality. If I say so, that moment felt roughly comparable to what, in my mind, or as the way I had perceived it, it felt comparable to a person converting to Judaism, or what he or she must feel, as opposed to one, as all of us born, or most of us born, as a Jew. In other words, my wife and I were able to choose and appreciate the privilege of being an American citizen, rather than having that right automatically granted by virtue of having been born here. That is why it is so special, so especially meaningful for me to speak on this 250th Independence Day of the United States here in a community, Bethel, that has welcomed and embraced our family. Coming from countries where the Jewish presence was not prominent, to say the least, and where keeping a low profile was integral to our daily routine, I came to appreciate all the more how fortunate all those living in the United States were to enjoy their freedoms without restriction, particularly the freedom to practice the respective religion. For us Jews, throughout our long exile, we know that our people have suffered under regimes that persecuted us and denied us the ability to live fully as Jews. The United States of America, however, was founded on the principle, as we just heard, so beautifully expressed by a rabbi, was founded on the principle of religious freedom and has consistently allowed us to live openly and fully according to our tenets. As one of my favorite episodes of the early years in American history shows, and as we again so wonderfully heard moments ago. And let me share those sentences which from day one impressed me so much. I learned and read that a year after his inauguration as president, George Washington visited the Newport, Rhode Island Jewish congregation, Shabbat Israel, in 1790. He went in response to a letter he had received from the leaders of that synagogue, as well those of Mikveh Israel in Savannah, Georgia. In the letters, they wished him well as the first president of the new nation, expressing their warm feelings toward him. They begged him to remember that Jews, though small in number, lived in the United States with its vast Christian majority. What, they asked him, would be their status? How would they, despite the many differences between themselves and their American neighbors, fit into the nation's whole? Washington's answer has been enshrined in American Jewish history and cited repeatedly as a guarantee of not tolerance but equality. And again, I read in admiration his words, quote, "May the children of the stock of Abraham who dwell in this land continue to merit and enjoy the goodwill of the other inhabitants, while everyone shall sit in safety under his own vine and fig tree, and there shall be none to make him afraid," unquote. We know that, of course, one of the essential sentences in our tradition, our Torah, found in the book of Devarim and Deuteronomy, is tzedek, tzedek tirdof. Justice, justice shall you pursue. And it's clear then that the founding fathers understood the importance of this idea. And they established for the first time in modern history a new nation based on ethical principles. Quote, "We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal, that they are endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights, that among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness," unquote. So, even though as we Jews are presently filled with apprehension and anxiety during difficult and worrisome times, this day, July 4th, remains a time for all of us to be happy and grateful. We celebrate our ability to live in a free society and worship freely as Jews in this country. Opportunities that did not exist for many of our ancestors and still do not exist for some Jews around the world today. On our Hagim, on our Jewish holidays, we express our appreciation to God by reciting Hallel, psalms of praise. How then can we express our appreciation as we join our fellow Americans in celebrating this anniversary? And perhaps the essential way to do so, in addition to liturgy and prayers and reflections that, of course, can only be fair to what this country means to us, our appreciation must be expressed with words of hakarat hatov, gratitude to God, who in his kindness has guided history to bring about the founding of this great nation in our place in it. So showing patriotism and support for the United States of America is part of that expression of gratitude. And this 4th of July Shabbat is a fitting time to do so. Amen.